When a company hits a certain growth stage, the tools that helped get them there start to break down. You have more leads, data, and team members trying to force daily tasks through a system that wasn't built for their volume. Off-the-shelf software usually starts with a great pitch, instant setup, and all the standard features you need for a flat monthly fee. But the daily operational reality looks very different. Your team ends up spending hours wrestling with irrelevant fields and manual workarounds just to log a single interaction. This is CRM friction. It happens when your business logic outpaces the software's defaults. Instead of the software adapting to how your team naturally works, your employees are forced to adapt their entire workflow to the software. You can spot the symptoms of this fatigue pretty quickly. It starts with low user adoption, where reps avoid the system entirely. Then you find siloed data scattered across spreadsheets. Finally, you see your top performers buried under an overload of manual entry tasks just to satisfy rigid reporting limits. This puts operators in a tough position. You have to decide if you will continue patching these generic tools with temporary fixes, or if you need to invest the necessary resources into building a fully customized CRM. To make that decision, we have to look past the marketing claims and evaluate the inputs, the operational outcomes, and the trade-offs of custom development. At scale, your operational software must accelerate your unique business workflows. The moment it starts dictating and restricting them, it costs you money. Let's start with the technical reality of building custom workflow automation and bespoke modules. The required input here is heavy. Before a single line of code is written, you and a development partner must conduct a deep operational audit. You have to map out exactly how your lead routing, approval chains, and follow-ups function in the real world. This diagram compares the inputs and outcomes of these technical pillars. Looking at the workflow automation row, we see the direct outcome of that operational audit. By mapping your processes exactly, you eliminate repetitive manual tasks and reduce human error. This means sacrificing the immediate deployment of a generic SaaS product for a longer build time to achieve long-term velocity. Moving past workflows, we hit the second technical pillar, system integration and data cleansing. The necessary input here involves a major upfront investment in secure API development. Developers have to migrate your existing records and build specific rules for complete data deduplication. The final outcome is structural clarity, a seamless, single source of truth connecting all your disparate software. This integration increases dependency on specialized tech architects. As external APIs update, you need experts to maintain those connections. Scalable automation depends on a strategic upfront investment of time and capital. Back-end data mechanics only matter if your team actually logs in. We have to look at the human element, user adoption, and interface design. Bringing our matrix back, we see the required input for high user adoption. Your internal teams must actively participate in the UI and UX design phases to ensure the layout matches their actual needs. When you tailor the design to the user, employees use the system without friction. This immediate adoption yields highly accurate, reliable data. Choosing custom UI results in a higher initial cost compared to using the clunky, generic interface included with a subscription. Finally, we arrive at the last pillar, scalability and industry compliance, heavily scrutinized in healthcare and finance. The required input is non-negotiable. Developers must bake strict regulatory architectures, like HIPAA, directly into the core code from day one. The outcome is the ability to legally handle secure data and expand into new markets without needing a total system rebuild later. This level of compliance carries the risk of over-engineering the system early on. Managing that software bloat requires a trusted, long-term development partner. A CRM's value is entirely dependent on your team's willingness to use it and the system's structural ability to legally scale. When we bring all these inputs, outcomes, and trade-offs together, we have to answer the ultimate question: who actually needs to build a custom CRM? Custom development aligns the software with the business's existing logic, bypassing the need to force the business to conform to the tool. This quadrant chart maps it out clearly. We can weigh your company's operational process complexity against your available time and budget resources. We start at the lowest tier of the matrix. This area addresses businesses with standard sales pipelines and tight resource constraints. Early-stage startups and bootstrapped founders should generally avoid custom development. When speed to market and cash conservation are the primary goals, taking on a heavy development input is a mathematically poor trade-off. We shift focus to the opposite end of the spectrum for mature and highly regulated companies. The perfect candidates for custom builds are scaling enterprises and niche industries dealing with massive data fragmentation and complex regulations. The tipping point occurs when the labor hours spent on manual data entry and revenue lost from inefficient workflows cost more than the developer fees. At that stage, custom software becomes the highest ROI decision. Moving into this quadrant requires a dedicated development team, like SparkOut, to handle the technical burden of executing these high-stakes builds. A dedicated partner refines the system, optimizes it for your specific growth, and scales it long after launch, mitigating the trade-offs we discussed earlier. The hidden friction that consistently limits a company's growth represents the most significant cost of any software choice.